Hey guys, this is Netty with Rocket Pirate Sound, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys 4 tricks that Virtual Riot uses to hook you in his songs. So, I've got a little track made for you guys, and I'm going to show you guys how I made it, and then I'm going to show you some talking points. So here is the track. So yeah, we got a pretty cool little color base like thingamabobber going on, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly like what went through my head to make this song. So first thing is insanely heavy drums. So no song from Virtual Riot is complete, or at least drop is complete without extremely heavy drums. So let me just play you the exact the solo drums, which sound like this. So let me walk you through the individual samples. So I got pretty much all of the samples from the bass toolkit from Rocket Pirate Sound. So if you guys want to check out these like drums and hi-hats and snares and even the bass sounds, then you guys can get that right here. It is the bass toolkit. So we have the Aurora kick, we have the peak snare, and that sounds like this. We have the kick, super chunky, and the snare. No processing on either of those. We have this crash, which is going through a sidechain, so that's pretty important, I think. Is that like the kick and snare are like sidechain to the cymbals. We have this crash, which just hits on like the kick and snare, and then we have like these offbeat hi-hats. So yeah, we have the expansive closed hat, the correct open hat, the bright crash, and the China crash, and yeah, that is the drums pretty much. So yeah, insanely heavy drums. That's extremely important to that Virtual Riot sound. Like if we have weak drums on this, or like even just drums that like are kind of clean, or you know, like something like that, it just wouldn't hit right. It needs to be like super extremely dirty, especially that kick. That's very important. So yeah, that's the first thing that Virtual Riot does to hook you into his drops. Number 2 is an extremely strong call and response. So let me show you what I mean. If you guys are not familiar with what call and response is, it's essentially this music theory kind of concept where you have like your call and your response. So like, for example, like if you went like, hey, oh, like that would be like, you know, like a call and response thing. You have the hey and the ho, right? So that's exactly what's going on here. We have it happening like literally every beat, and then like with like a larger phrase, we have it happening to itself. So if you take a listen, you can kind of hear it with like this. That's the call, right? Every time that hits, that's a call. And then the ding dong right here, that is the response. So we have that's the call and the response. And so like this is kind of just going back and forth constantly like this. So it's like an extremely like headbanger move to like make sure that you know you can like absolutely headbang the crap out of like you know your audience. That came out kind of weird, but yeah. Yeah, so essentially like everything is kind of built around that like call and response feature. And then we have something kind of interesting happen, because we have like we have this little like super fast like 16th note part. And what's interesting about that is this is also a call and response, but instead of like it's like a double layered call and response. So you have the call and response of this and this, right? But you also have the call and response of this and this. That's also call and response. So this is call, this is response, right? Okay, so one kind of cool thing that's gonna happen here is we have one call right here, and then we have a response here. So check this out. So we have call. And we have a response. So that's cool because we have like this little like synth thing going on right here. And that like kind of acts as like the response to the call, and it's just like a huge gigantic like thing of call and response constantly, and that's what makes them so catchy, is because you have like so many like layers of call and response. That's how you make the most catchy songs, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to use a lot of different elements to add groove. So you can kind of like see this is like a pretty complicated like arrangement of stuff, right? You might be looking at this and you're like, well, holy crap, like what am I looking at? But you're not. Well, maybe fear, I don't know, that's up to you. There's a lot going on, right? So like let me just play you some of the layers individually. So first we have this. This is just like a serum patch. This is super simple, minus maybe like some of the It's pretty simple. We have just like a synth patch like this, no effects or anything. I have my Hot Wheels serum skin on. So we have just like 16 voices on these two like synth thingies. One is kind of like less detuned and one is like a lot more detuned. And that just kind of sits like this. And that plays this lead. Also has a pitch bend on it right here from LFO1, and that's just on envelope mode, and then that's routed from LFO1 to the master tune. And then that adds that nice like lasery feel to it. Adds a nice bit of like transient. And then I just duplicated that and just removed the second oscillator, and I have this little chord patch. Same processing on both of these. Nothing crazy going on there. But here's where we get to the fun stuff. So we have like this. We have like a tear out gun. So this is also again from the bass toolkit. All of these basses and samples and all that are from the bass toolkit. So if you guys want the exact like samples that I'm using, you guys can go get the bass toolkit to get those bass samples. So we have the confront tear out bass here, which I just pitched around a lot and just constantly played around with the arrangement, right? So we have like one just like 5 semitones up to get it in key because it's in C originally, and so I just pitched it down to add like a bit of a transient kind of thing. So this isn't really doing too much in the sense that like it's not really noticeable, but it's like if you remove it, it's definitely going to be noticeable that it's not there, right? So it kind of adds a bit of like grit to it, but it's pretty essential to the song, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, we have this Shord color bass one shot, which again is kind of also like doing this like kind of wacky stuff. We have this Collector's color bass melodic one shot, which is kind of doing that. Just a simple little pattern. Just like for the response to the call, right? So we have kind of like the that's the call and response, and then we have just a sub. So this is just like a color based one shot with the sub, just only the sub. I could have just made a normal sub, but I don't know. I was feeling a little quirky today, so I decided to go with that. And then lastly at the end here we have just like a random vocal that I found. This is like from like Splice or something. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So what I mean by use a lot of different elements to add groove. So this isn't just one element playing the da 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 kind of rhythm, right? It's like it's like a lot of different things, right? It's just like a constant like things like bouncing off of each other. So like if I just had like one like element playing all of this stuff, it would just be so boring. I think, well, first off, that it sounds just incomplete, but it just wouldn't work without each other, you know what I mean? So essentially what I did is I took like kind of like this like multi-tone, you kind of get a feel for it the more you do it, but like you kind of just take like all these little different like snippets and sounds and you just combine them together in this like gigantic arrangement, right? So like it's kind of hard to teach this, but you just take like 4 different elements and like all just like try to work them together into like one big arrangement. You just try to play like different sounds kind of next to each other, and like, you know, you try to kind of play with the pitches to get them to like feel right, because I have like I try to be very conscious about like what pitch each like little like note and thing is hitting, because that way you can kind of like control the groove a lot better. So like I think I feel that like lower notes or like lower pitch sounds tend to work really well for like these like short little clicky thingies compared to like higher pitch notes, and that'll like kind of add this you know like kind of feel, because you have the this I don't know if this makes any sense. Maybe it makes sense. This is very hard to explain, but yeah, it's just essentially like a whole lot of stuff bouncing off of each other, and like without that, it totally falls apart. So you definitely need that for that Virtual Riot sound. And then lastly, the last thing that Virtual Riot does to hook you into his songs is leave a lot of silence between each bass. So like, I'll show you what I mean. So I've already gone ahead and like I rendered the bass without the bass group without the sub. So you can kind of visually see like exactly like what I mean. So like when I zoom into this, right, you'll see like all these like gaps of silence. Like there's nothing there except sub, right? So like it kind of fades to silence here, there's complete silence here, it's complete silence here, etc., right? You have all these like gaps, like complete silence. And this is so important for like making chaotic flows feel controlled. If you don't have this, it's instantly gonna fall apart. If everything was like filled like the length of like each note, it would feel so chaotic and so overbearing. It's like I cannot stress that enough, right? Even these like little 16th note thingies, you might think, well, because they're repeating like one after another, it wouldn't be that overbearing, right? To like have like the gaps. No, like absolutely, like keep the gaps there. Like you need those gaps. Absolutely, like keep that in mind, right? So when you're making, this is also like why I don't have like background ambience. Because if I had an ARP in here, it would kind of start like if I added one right now, it would kind of feel a bit like. It would start feeling quite, it would lose its impact. So like, let me show you what I mean. Like if it's like a really short one like this, then like sure that would work, right? So that's pretty cool actually. Might keep that in. But if I start extending this, like this, it just suddenly loses all its punch, right? So this might work for like a second half of a drop, right? But you would have to like really wash it out a bit and like push it to the background, maybe using like a ping pong delay kind of thing. And then like maybe like something like that would work. Right, but like if it was like really in your face, if it was just like a main element and it was taking up all the space, it totally like kills it. So I'm gonna keep that in here just so I can have it. Just to have that like extra little punch to it. I like that. I like that ARP. You know, I prove myself wrong accidentally while trying to prove a point. So yeah, anyway, by the way, on these basses, I don't really have that much processing. It's just cutting out the sub. For most of these, this one has the most processing. Which just like, there's like kind of a little bit going on here. So we have like an OTT to make it a little bit thicker. We have an EQ to cut out the sub. We have we have a frequency shifter because I do like a variation in the second half with a pitch map. So that's like why there's a lot of processing. So the pitch map turns on right here. To go from like this sound to this sound. So yeah, that's what all the processing is, but that's kind of it. I think I'm pretty sure like again like just cutting out sub on this, just have the sub here, and then this spectral time is just to add some stereo. So without it sounds like this. It sounds like you can barely tell the difference, but yeah. Anyway, oh, and by the way, if you're wondering how I made this effect, all this is you have like two like vocal. You have a vocal. You have two snippets. One you have like pitched at one pitch, and then one a semitone higher, and then you get this kind of like chorusy, like kind of interesting effect. And then I pan them left and right, kind of equally, and then you get the kind of like wide stereo weird effect. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's about it. Those are 4 tricks that Virtual Riot uses to hook you into songs. Be sure to check out the bass toolkit if you want to get access to these specific samples. I hope you found this educational, and I hope to see you guys in another video. Bye bye.